Maururu, Yorana Korua, Au Rapa Nui, Bananga Te Bananga Maohi, Maururu Te Homekoruginei, Haktak Tak Tatou. Thank you. Very happy to be here. Introducing a concept of monitoring authority. And I just the title is Monitoring Authority, and the authority are the community, the people on the ground. Those are the authority we are talking about. And the concept is to empower communities in the Pacific. I thought of this concept in collaboration with many of our activist friends here and in the Pacific, of affecting change from the ground up, from the community level up. And in the process, we wanted to figure out a way to how can we take big concepts and big ideas that are floating around and people with goodwill wanting to help, and how to make that tangible and practical and bring it back to the community and allow them, empower them to take ownership of their resources, of the way they organize themselves and the way they should collect their own data. So a concept of having a backpack where we can put instruments to make measurements of water, air quality, soil, social access measurements within their community, on the ground, so they can collect their own data. They can organize their data based on the way they live their life, consistent to their cultural practices. And so this concept of having a backpack with instruments within, be it a computer, shortwave radio, a Geiger counter for radiation readings of the water, of the air, water testing, a small camera, pencil, and a pad to record the readings of their own environment and what's important to a specific community in the Pacific. So this concept will allow community practitioners to take ownership of how they collect their data, how they record the degradation of their environment. And in that process, many questions will come out, and it'll open up many different ways of them learning about their own environment and what best practices they should use when they interface with NGO, government, and corporations who usually comes to, for example, Rapa Nui with preconceived proposals and environmental impact statements done without the consent of the people, and just basically shoving this information to community leaders and pressuring them to learn about, to adopt it, and so they can go forward in extracting their natural resources or building casinos, hotels, golf courses in their land. So by allowing community leaders to take ownership of how they collect their own data, how they analyze it, they will, that will empower them and have, they will become the authority of their own environment. So this is the concept we're trying to implement, and we have come across many people in the process of putting this concept together who are willing to help, and who have interest in purchasing the backpack with the instrument. So in this forum here, Wananui, we want to collect information and to best implement this backpack and to connect to different entities who have worked with this kind of concept and figure out the best way to make this concept reality for communities throughout the Pacific. And starting as a pilot in Rapa Nui, it's the place I know, it's the place I understand the community, and so start there and implement the concept forward from there. But it is still fluid, it's still very much open to implementation among all of the participants here. And I have gotten some good feedbacks of what can be on that backpack and how the data can be used. And ultimately, once collected the data of a particular community, knowing the level of toxins in their water, understanding why the level is too high of certain toxins, then they would ask questions, and this would be by reading the water or reading the air. They would ask questions: why is our water is polluted? Why our government is telling it's not? Why haven't we been more engaged in understanding this? So it'll engage the community on the ground level into asking questions among them. Why haven't we been more proactive in understanding our resources? And so the backpack will promote that discussion among communities, and I think it'll have lasting impact in a horizontal way where generations and community leaders can teach their families, can teach their children, and it'll become a community trait to know and understand their water, their air, their soil, and their fishing, and understand all of those resources, but in a much more scientific process, not necessarily being told, well, the water levels are this, the air and the soil, but they themselves having this instrument, having the skill to do it, and understanding what to do with it, reference it to what the government are saying. And also obviously having a camera in this backpack to record the process and to also take those data and archive in the community. And there's also what to do with the information once the community has gathered and put it together, and maybe send it out from the island to different, or to a centralized place where it can be contextualized and find ways to mitigate their issues on the island through NGO or partners outside of the local community. And so this is the concept that we're trying to promote, and I think we're going to be able to at least start this project, because at the end is the community from the ground up are the best policy makers for themselves. They're their best advocates of their way of life, and their best advocate of what to do with their resources and how they want to exploit or interact with other entities. So that was the project. Thank you.
Thank you.